Hey folks, I just wanted to stop in and go through some of the process of making handmade paper. So these are some of the more, um, the materials I want to be showcased, or just some of the materials that you could use in making handmade paper. So lots of floral and natural material. We have some roses, some other pieces, and see, like these I might use more in the base of the paper and not so much to be showcased, but like something like this I might want to showcase in a piece. These are all scraps from notebooks. This is a little thing I cut out of a calendar. Newspaper, lint is great. Paper towels that I was using to clean up paint or to clean brushes. Brown paper bags. This is a favorite, as I kind of have a little box in the kitchen to collect all the tea stuff, especially the little, the cute little tags and sayings they have on them. Some sage, some herbs, some found, I think this is white pine needles, dryer sheets. Here I've got some old maps. This I want to experiment with using some of this thin plastic, like this is from celery, and this is the calendar. You see, I still have, these beautiful calendars we buy and we use them all year. And if you're like me, you hoard them. And yeah, so we could cut out some of these images and feature them in our paper. And there's also history, like this calendar I used as a portfolio and carried with me on a cross-country trip and just kept all my paper art in it. So it's fun to take these paper materials that have a history and incorporate them into something new instead of just throwing them away. If you're a hoarder like me, you know how that could be. I have these that I want to experiment with. I don't know how to open them just yet, but I have all these old film rolls. So I really want to crack these open and do something with those, but that's later. And then we have the base stuff. So the base stuff is like, this is going to make up the bulk of your paper, right? And I think what's fun is, little words and clips may come out depending on how finely you blend your bulk material. And then this is our equipment. Yay, equipment. Good stuff. This is another under here. Great if you know Morgan Harper Nichols. I had this great calendar from her. She's a poet and an artist and a musician and an incredible person. All these beautiful, so I'm really excited to go through this and just use all this really beautiful poetry and imagery. Yeah, she does all the art and all the poetry herself. She's awesome. Yeah, so let's move over here. So these are finished products. Some of them, like these, are probably from the first couple times I ever made paper. And the reason I wanted to show you these is to show the variety. So like this, you see how thin it is and it's pliable, and you'll see what I'm talking about too, how little letters will kind of like pop through, and sometimes little chunks of words, and not intentionally. So that could be really, really fun to play with, like paper making divination, if you will. So here's another one. And these have glitter in them. I'm really stepping away from using glitter in anything, and finding more and more that there's so many natural alternatives to glitter, like mica, or like walking through the snow. But anywho, so this has marigold pieces in it. And that's kind of like, I just took the whole head of the marigold and put it right in the blender. And you get all these beautiful little marigold speckles in there. And then these, I even went a step further and embossed them. So while the paper is still wet, you could, I think I did this with one of those like back massage roller things. And had all these, so, you know, once it dries, it has all these beautiful embossed gestures in it. This one as well. I'm not sure what I used to do that. But this has a lot of the marigold in it. And then this is just a really simple example of how, so again, embossing with cookie cutters. That's really fun. This is, you can't tell, but it's really textured. So this isn't an embossment. What this is I had taken a cookie cutter and placed it over the paper and poured more paper, so it creates like this built up, almost sculptural effect. So that's super fun. This is one of the papers with acrylic paint over it. This paper is actually made from, at least partially from ash from a campfire. So that's really fun. So there's like ash and charcoal and, you know, little bitties of flowers in there. Yeah, this I remember, this was from like stickers that I had. I think that might even be a little selenite in there. So you could incorporate like fine mineral powders if that suits you. And then just to show an example of the possibilities for thickness, so you could do really thick pieces. This is very old, which you might be able to tell. So you could do something really thick, almost like a cardboard. And what's really fun with something like this is you could spray it down and add essential oils and make yourself a little car air freshener, or, you know, whatever it might be. Another possibility for handmade paper is using entirely organic materials. So I used to work on a permaculture farm, and we would take all of our weeding refuse and make paper out of it. And if you were to do, you know, like a 4x2 sheet or whatever dimensions that suit you, using something like an old door screen, you can use that for weed prevention. I know sometimes, a lot of the times, they sell the cloth and you kind of go and pin the cloth down. But if you use the old weed material, I wonder, you know, it's compostable. It might be adding benefits to the soil, and it's keeping you from spending 10 hours a day weeding your garden bed. So that's a possibility. That's something I'd like to do in the future. Also, what we see here is I'm doing a little experimenting today. So these, in previous workshops, I've used watercolor paper for drying sheets. And you'll see when I do the process what the drying sheets are all about. And, you know, it works really well when the sheet of paper, here, let's just clean this up right quick. When the sheet of paper dries on your watercolor paper drying sheet, you just kind of flex it around and your handmade paper will pop off. And then what happens too is whatever was in your paper, it will dye and create a print on your watercolor drying sheet. In the spirit of being sustainable and not purchasing paper to make recycled paper, I want to try and move. So this is an old t-shirt. I'm going to try using that today. I also have canvas. So I have canvas, and I'm going to experiment both with the raw untreated canvas, and, you know, this is an old painting that I cut up, and canvas that has a layer of gesso on it, and see what all happens with that. And then, because I mentioned it, I wanted to see if I had a paper ghost around, but I don't. But yeah, so those are the materials that I've been using to make handmade recycled paper. Okay, so for this part of the process, I've gone ahead and ripped up a bunch of my bulk base material. I added a dryer sheet. I added a little pinch of lint. One of my painted paper towels. I added these two tea wrappers for color, and also I'm just realizing for some metallic, for some shine as well. I put 2 of those whole roses in there. I even put a couple drops of essential oil in here just for it to be, to kind of add to the sensual experience of this process. There's also some sweet little jasmine buds in here I got from a great herb shop over there on Liberty Street in Newburgh. I'll have to tag them. Yeah, so many possibilities. Okay, so what we're going to do now is add some water. And we want to add enough that everything's good and covered. And even if you're using thicker papers in your base, you might want to let stuff soak for a while. And so it's so fun. And then so what happens now here is, even in this stage of the game, we have options that will influence the outcome of our paper. So I could blend, most of the blenders I have different settings here. But basically, I could turn this real quick and do a really rough blend and leave it that way so that you get real big chunks of stuff coming through in your paper. Or I could let it blend longer and have it be more fine, and you're not, you're less likely to get little letters and chunks of words, etc. I think because the decal, I'm going to go ahead and, I got to unbuckle it first. But the decal, because it has 2 sections, I think I'll do both. I'll do a nice chunky paper, a thick paper, and I'll do a finer paper. And, I think traditionally in paper making, I've seen folks pour the pulp in the water container first, and then go in and dip and pull the pulp that way. Personally, I really like doing it this way, where the decal kind of floats in the water, and I could pour in here. And once I've poured in here, I can manipulate the material. I can push this down so that the material's more diluted and just kind of falls where it may. So that's really fun, really good possibilities. So yeah, so I'm gonna get blending and pouring, and I'll be back when both of my hands are available. Yay! That's my favorite part. Okay, so we did a blend and pour, and you can see the difference between, I just did a couple pulses on this, and then I really let the material blend for a while, and you can see this is much finer. Super duper fun. It smells fantastic because of the little drops of essential oil I put in there. So that was a beautiful, once you pour it out, it just hits you right in the face. Good stuff. So you can see what you have the option to do, and you have the option to do this as you're pouring as well. But when I push down, we get the water in there, and it could kind of, shift and move things around a little bit. There's a lot of, the texture is really fun to play with. So yeah, you could kind of go around and take the paper off the edges a little bit. And then it's at this point that if there's anything we want to add to the pieces, I think for these, I'm gonna go, ooh, options. Ooh, okay. So I'm gonna do this. So I'm picking these guys. And I'm gonna put them in here. Maybe I'll use my left hand for this. So when we add things, what we want to do, we just want to make sure that the paper pulp kind of comes over the edge of what we're adding. Just a little bit, make sure it stays in there. So I've got a little T tag. Yay. And this beautiful dried flower. I don't know if this is, it's not echinacea. It's probably a Gerbera daisy. Beautiful. So this, so what I might even do is take some of the paper pulp and see from what I put in there, you know, this is 2 sheets. They're probably like a medium thickness. I still have a lot left over, so a little bit does go a long way as I take this big, huge chunk of paper. So I'm just going to go ahead. I want some of the stem to show. I'm going to, and you see it almost becomes like a putty as I squeeze the water out of it. It's this beautiful material. And I have made sculptures with paper pulp, and that's really fun. That's a thing for another day. It's really all about just taking the moisture out of there. Look, it's like a spitball. You could throw it at your classmates. Okay. So we're gonna go in here and then just kind of, I don't want to cover the stem completely, because even if we kind of pull it back out, because as it gets pressed down on the dryer sheet, it will kind of cover. So I want to uncover some more of that. Okay, beautiful. And I think that might be it for this one. Do you want to put, I'm going to put little jasmines. And these are so beautiful, like as they are. I don't quite know what to do with these, if I want to deconstruct them. Maybe this one. For now, we'll do this for the sake of the video. So I'm going to sprinkle these on here. And then even with a little water to get them to blend. So what I've also seen workshop participants do is use different color pulps within one decal, and almost like a fiber artist, take materials and blend it together so it becomes even its own paint. Yay. So a little pretty jasmine buds in there. Ooh, one wants to go there, so we'll put it there. And you could be as intentional or not with this process as you want to. Yes, and then what do we want to do with this? I think we'll do a little bit of this. So I'm going to take this piece from a calendar, and another kind of, there's this cloud. What does this cloud want to do? This cloud maybe wants to live there. So we'll leave it there, and then we'll just, we've got movement. So I'm just going to press it down. And you see the water, when it dilutes it, the material moves around. So that's really fun. Okay. And then I do want that quote to show. Beautiful quote. What does it say? The heart has its reasons, which reason knows nothing of. Love it. Okay. And then our little cloud friend. Do we want the little cloud? We don't. this is good all by itself. Okay. And then what you can even do, ooh, this one little rose petal was hanging out all by itself, so we're going to put her in there. Or him. They. There you go. Let's see what happens. What could also be fun is, so we have this, the thicker, the less fine pulp, the thick pulp. So I can even now take this thinner pulp and let's just do like a little circle right there. Because why not? And see, so you could start to see how there's opportunity for painting just with the paper pulp. Like if this was a completely different color, you would just have this beautiful circle here. Awesome. So I will see you in a few minutes for the drying process. I also wanted to mention that this is a great, not only for paper collage, but I've seen folks take whole objects and encase them in the paper pulp. So to encase them, or even to stay within the rectangle shape and put an object. I'm looking around for like something that I could use as an example. Ooh, so even I have this old like broken necklace. Oh, maybe that'll go in right now. Do we want to do that? I think we do. Okay. So we're gonna go. So I have this old necklace that's broken. Ooh, how do we want that? That it'll stay too. Maybe we'll go around the whole. Well, that's fun. But maybe for another time. But basically what you would do to make sure this stays in the paper is like pin it down. Oh, I guess it's staying. Okay, so we're doing this. So you would pin it down with little bits of pulp. We want to pin this down as well. Let's see, let's move it a little. So we'll put a pin maybe right here. So now we have a three-dimensional collage happening. And almost like a shadow box is what came to mind, but not quite. And then what? So this. Oh, this is fun. So this like a big chunk. So we'll do that. This is going to be so fun when it dries, and I'll make another video to update y'all. I like the nice simple, but this is fun too. Now what do I want to do with this rose petal? Does this want to stay here? It does. So what do we do? And this will flatten out on the dryer sheet, and I wonder the water from the paper will rehydrate it. So I wonder if I have to pin it. Maybe I'll just pin the bottom. Now I don't want to cover the whole thing. So we'll undo. So we'll see how that works. Okay, let's go do the drying process. Yeah. Okay. So we're over here for the drying process. I haven't done anything. Oh, hi. Oh, it's me. Yeah. So usually I have sponges to do this, but today I'm just using my fingers. And what you kind of want to do, oh, and this is fun because I'm even embossing it a little bit too. So So you just want to press the paper down to get out as much excess moisture as possible. And you typically want to do this right over the vat of water initially to just take out as much moisture as possible. This is nice. I don't know if you could see this, but pressing my fingertips into it has now embossed it. So this, what I love about paper making is each piece of paper has the potential to hold so much personality, energy, and history. So, you know, the bulk material I used for this was from, they're all inventory sheets for doing floral merchandising. So that's a whole period of my life. And then, you know, all the little pieces that I accumulate and cut them up and reconfigure and incorporate, it creates a depth. So whether you're doing a collage, making a card for somebody, making a base for a painting, or printmaking. A lot of printmakers really dig this process. You're adding just so much more depth to the piece in a way that might not be obvious. Yeah. And I loved it. And intentionality. Yeah, so much fun. You know, all my witches and pagans out there, like, you know, put some herbs and some intentions in there. It's very much like a transmutation process, a releasing process, taking the old and making it new. Yay, recycling. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to take the frame off of the decal. And what you can also do is just go around and squish the paper down off the little walls of the frame so you get a nice edge. We're just going around the whole thing. Alright. Beautiful. And then, yep, so we're just going to take this off. Ta-da! Oh, it's so satisfying. Great. So we'll just put this to the side. Well, these are looking real lovely. I'm really happy with these. What I just realized, so any embossing that I was excited about is about to be pressed out in this process. So, and I'll show you where the embossing would come in a moment. So I think I'm going to start with using canvas on the acrylic painted side. Now you can see where I think this is this is a really good example. So where this side is really smooth, this is the side that went face down on the dryer sheet. And where this is more rough, I don't know if you could see, but it still has the imprint of the screen, from the decal, because as I flip this over very carefully, oh, so that's what we do. I forgot. So we put this over here, and while this is here, we're going to press, do a little stretch, a little cat-cow, and we're going to press down and press all that moisture out as much as we can. So it makes the drying process a little faster. Okay, and then hold it like this. Carefully snip. And then this is where a sponge is really useful. Where are all my sponges? I think they're in that Tupperware over there with the rest of the blenders. outfit today. We're going to use this t-shirt. So once we've flipped it over, you find a dry spot of this t-shirt, and there isn't one. Well, anywho, at this point, when you squeeze down on the frame, the excess moisture comes up, and that's really fun. Again, this is such a sensory, stimulating process, but in a really nice, calm way. I want my sponge! Ooh! What is that? Sponge? Okay. So I thought, is this a sponge? No, it's like a buffing. My brother has all these really cool, like, car washing material tools and stuff. Don't tell him I borrowed his sponge. That's not a sponge. Oh, yeah. Sponge time. So, the sponging, the water absorption here is important because when I go to pull the decal away, the paper is less likely to stick to the screen, to the decal. And again, it makes the drying process faster. And it's fun, and it smells good. Okay. So we'll do that. And then we'll just real slowly lift it off. Hooray! We made paper together! Awesome. So now, I will just leave these, and maybe 24 to 48 hours, they'll be dry, depending on how humid it is in your house. I think what I'm going to do is go put this on the, whatchamacallit, the big thing that heats the house, so that all that water evaporates out of there relatively quickly. And then when it dries, because this material is flexible, and even with the paper, you just kind of curl it and the handmade paper will pop off. I wonder, it might be even easier, because I found that the handmade papers sometimes fuse with the watercolor paper, but I don't think that will be the case because this has the acrylic sealing on it. I'm also curious to see what the texture is going to be, and then what the texture would be on this. So that's a really interesting something to explore as well. If you use different textured drying sheets and materials, what that could do for the paper. You could also use molds. I've used cookie cutters, so had little heart-shaped pieces of paper. Yeah, something textured. You know, funny plastic stuff. Like, I know I have, you know, I might do that next before I clean up. I have those like plastic trays that all the watercolor paints come in, or Valentine's Day just passed. You have those really cool, again, the plastic trays that have all the different shaped pockets for the chocolates. So yeah, there's so many possibilities. And then at this point too, that the papers are here and drying, is when we can do embossment. What little tools do I have handy in Pop Pop's magical garage? What's this? Okay, so I'm going to use this thing and just make little, what are those? They're like little colons or something. little markings in there. So it's just an additional feature. And again, you know, the possibilities are endless. Your only limit is your imagination. Sweet, that's it. Thank you for joining me. I realized I could stop the video and then start another one. So this is the plastic tray I was talking about. And I don't know how much you could tell, but it had those little, I forgot, the Papermate pens, the felt tip pens. So these ridges go pretty deep. These ones are more shallow, but there's a lot of really interesting like molding texture here. This is really fun. So I don't particularly at this moment in time know what I would use this for, but let's give it a try and have an experiment. What I also have been meaning to do for ages, but since we're here, we're going to do it right now together, is making bowls using other existing bowls as a mold. So what's difficult about doing that is once the paper is dried, to remove it from the mold. As I'm saying that, I'm realizing it might not be as difficult as I anticipate. I'm not sure because I've never done it. But what I also have are these like netting materials from lemons and produce. So I'm going to go ahead and layer them on top of that because I thought, I wonder if it's better to do the paper over this way or in the bowl. I suppose it doesn't matter. The water might accumulate. We're going to do it this way. So we're going to do like this, and then I have like this plastic from celery, and I'm going to do, but I want, so then we'll do it this way. Sure. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of layer this, and I'll let stuff come over the edge and see how that works. If I want to trim it later, I can. I'm going to put my foxy over there, and then do this. And then the same with these. So this plastic, it's pretty flexible, so I imagine it would pop out, but I think I'll do half with, you know, I kind of want a little bit of this in that too. What color? What color? Okay. Yeah, next time I do something like this, I'm going to raise this table up higher. Okay. So, we're just going to go right ahead and put that kind of like so. And I'm going to do that. Ooh. I'm very excited about that. So we're going to do the same kind of here. And see what all transpires. We'll go over there. So what I did too, because I wasn't sure, is I made sheets first. What we could do is take the whole sheet and just lay it over the bowl instead of, you know, pinching and pasting the entire thing, which, you know, in some cases that might be good and fun and the right thing to do. But today we're working quickly. So let's see. So, bear with me. Move this over there. Take this over here. I think it will stick to the acrylic side. ahead and press the moisture out. Because even as I press the moisture out with my whole hand, I don't know if you could see. Ooh, I don't know if you could see, but the material will actually lift, so it bonds really quickly. It's very similar to felting, I feel like. Oh, that's okay. See, there's a lot of moisture that comes out. Okay. So we'll go ahead. So see, when you don't go around and like press the corners, you get big chunks of the paper like stick in the corner. So for our purposes in this moment, it's not a big deal. Press. Stretch. Get all the moisture out. Flip it over. Now let's see, can you see what I'm doing? It's like this old Harry Potter t-shirt. Alright. Oh, cool. A big chunk of that painted paper towel is in here. And again, some of the paper fibers get really fine. So there's almost like embossing. Oh, there's a bunch of cat hair in there. That's good. Cool. Any little words? I've got a ON from one of the tea bags. Cool beans. Alright. So let's see. This is still really wet. So I'm going to see how big of a chunk I can peel off here if I'm really gentle and patient. Ooh. So would you look at that? Alright. I'm going to go ahead and just drop that on there like so. I want to press it so that it really fuses with the material. I don't think it's gonna. Wow, I'm surprised at how I was able to lift that whole piece while it was still wet. So this might be better to do. Oh, that's a piece of dryer sheet that didn't get fully blended. Okay, good to know. So that just means we want to cut those up more before we put them in the blender, that's all. Never put your hand in a blender while it's still on its base. That is important. Just like this big chunk of a rose, we don't need that. Oh, and a tea bag that didn't fully, yeah, the one with the silver that needed to be cut up more. I had a feeling, but I didn't follow the feeling. So I think this is done. I think, yeah, slightly, not failed experiment, but kind of the trial and error. So this would be pretty cool, I think. Fuck. We'll just keep this as a paper. Oh, but this is really fun material. Oh, the possibilities. Cool. Well, that was fun. Thank you for experimenting with me. And we will save this for later. We will play with this at a later date. Oops. Bye. Okay. So this is the reveal. Yeah. So we're just gonna real gently. Ooh. So you see, I think it's the essential oil that I put in there, or it could be from herbs or flowers that create that yellow dye. I don't remember which ones these are. The original pieces might be on the other canvas. Oh no, this is it. Ooh. Okay. So this is the first time I'm using like a primed canvas. It's working really beautifully. So we're just kind of manipulating the material that it's drying on. Being real gentle, we have a sticky spot. Oh, wow. Cool. So this is the finished piece. Ooh, we got a little dangly on there. And the rose came out pretty good. Fun, but you could see like where we it's like paper welding. Oh, this is fun. How they flatten out. Cool. So there's the first piece. And then you can see that folded under there. You can see that. Hello. The embossment there. You know, I'm so impatient. Slow down. So this is kind of the finer paper. So this is, so it does stick a little bit. Gentle with the corners. I don't know, it sticks with, and this is the paper ghost too. So you kind of see how the paper drying kind of dies. And there is some like leftover material. But yeah, to finish my sentence, the paper dyes the drying sheet. So whatever herbs were used, or sometimes if like I used to use tissue paper a lot, and the dyes from that would be really vibrant prints. We lost a corner. That's okay. Oh, this one had that dried flower on it. Ooh. Ooh. I'm wondering if the paper actually is easier to use. Oh, this came out really nice. So I think it's the jasmine buds that that dyed the paper yellow. But see how everything kind of flattens out? And this is beautiful. This is like purple in here. These are my favorite colors. Okay, but anywho, so that's That's all, folks.